check the fridge.
Immediately. Well, we now know the expected peak bloom of our iconic cherry blossom trees near the tidal basin.
Meteorologist Caitlin McGrath was there for the announcement from the National Park Service. She's with us live again from the tidal basin with the big news. So Caitlin, let's talk about when we can expect the blossoms to pop.
Yes, mark your calendar for March 23rd through March 26th. That is when the National Park Service is predicting peak bloom. But predicting when cherry trees are going to blossom is kind of similar to predicting the weather. There are a lot of factors that go into an accurate forecast and a lot of things that can change that forecast. But unlike the National Park Service, we don't have a tree helping us with our forecast.
There is one particular Yoshino tree that tends to run about 2 weeks or 10 days in advance of the rest of the trees around the tidal basin.
It's called the indicator tree, and for good reason.
It does give us a reliable indicator every year of where the rest of the trees are likely to fall in the bloom cycle.
But it takes a lot more than a tree to predict peak bloom.
We're looking at the historic record. What's happened in the last several years, 10 years going back. But we're also, of course, looking at the near and long range forecast. If we're expecting a warming trend over the next month, that's probably going to influence us to call a little bit earlier. If we're expecting average or even colder temperatures, that's obviously going to push it back a little further.
And warming global temperatures have been undeniably pushing peak bloom earlier and earlier.
Over the last 10 years or so, probably even a little bit longer, we are seeing the trend almost every year with peak bloom coming earlier than that average date of April 3rd or April 4th.
But the bloom time of these iconic cherry trees is only one impact of climate change. Sea level rise combined with sinking seawalls around the tidal basin has led to flooding twice a day, every day.
10 years ago, that was an incident that happened a couple times a month in some places or irregularly. We're at low tide right now, but you can see the effects of all that.
And that inundation of water wreaks havoc on tree roots.
And as we look down this line here, you notice there is a huge gap between here and about 100 yards away where there are no cherry trees. They've all either had to be cut down or have died because of all the water that's coming over the seawalls.
Construction is set to start this summer to rebuild the seawalls that have sunk 3 to 4 feet over the years.
When that work is done, we can replant the trees and they'll have a much better chance of survival.
A new walkway will also be constructed for visitors to enjoy.
Exciting project. It's going to take a couple of years, but looking forward to the positive impact on the tidal basin and the trees when it's done.
Now I want to talk a little bit more about the trend that we're seeing in that peak bloom time. And there's a lot going on here, so let's walk through this graphic. What you're seeing are the peak bloom dates for the past 20 years. And you see that average line of April 4th. That's the average peak bloom. Just those 5 dots you see above average are the years where we've seen peak bloom later than average, but all of the other dots, 15 years out of the past 20, have all featured peak bloom earlier than that average of April 4th. And again, those global warming temperatures have a lot to do with it. And really, it comes as no surprise that once again, we're expecting peak bloom earlier than average. We're likely going to end up with the 5th warmest winter on record. And as we look at long range temperature guidance, temperatures just look really unseasonably mild here over the next